Hi, Jason Knott, Chief Content Officer at CE Pro, Commercial Integrator and Security Sales and Integration. And I'm excited to be joined today by Randy Stearns, CEO of D-Tools. Hi, Randy.
Hey, Jason. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
So when times are good, when times are bad, when companies are big, when companies are small, the need for software is ubiquitous now. The days of using the shoebox full of receipts are long gone. And for efficiency's sake and speed and bottom line productivity, we've seen a lot of integrators realize the benefits of software. So what are some of the obstacles that integrators confront out there that impede their productivity that obviously lead them to need software?
Well, I think when a lot of people think about that, they think about just inefficiencies in their day-to-day workflow, like, maybe operating processes that aren't that well defined or field to office communication. But the truth is, the people that come to us looking for answers and they need answers now are those that have bottlenecks that halt their progress. And so it's really bottlenecks that drive people to want to change. And I'd say, those are the real culprits. And there are three choke points that we see most commonly. One is proposal throughput, right? So if you can't get proposals out the door fast enough, then, especially in times when business is good and you're trying to grow, that's a real choke point and will just halt productivity completely. The next one is engineering, right? So when it comes time to get projects through the engineering process, that's often another choke point. And then the third one that we see most commonly is change orders. That's a real, because companies are afraid to invoice if they haven't completed all the change orders because they're not invoicing the full amount, right? So they got to get change orders processed and approved before they can invoice, and then they obviously they need to collect the money. So anyway, those are the kind of the choke points that we see most commonly.
And those choke points, I think, are common, as you mentioned, for custom integration, residential, commercial AV, as well as on the security side too.
Yeah. And there are others which really are more manpower based. I would say one is just purchasing, right? If you can't get the purchase orders out fast enough, that's just you don't have enough people, right, to do that work, or bandwidth to do it. And the other is invoicing. And those are more administrative in my mind. But these are the three that are the real chokeholds that impede progress.
So what are some of the specific time-saving features that D-Tool offers that are going to be most beneficial to low-voltage integrators?
It's a good question, but a tough question because it really depends on what their pain points are, right? And every company is different. So I would say broadly, the capabilities that D-Tools enables that is most beneficial are, one is our product library. It's fully integrated with the software. We have a tight relationship with hundreds of vendors, actually thousands of vendors, but I'd say it's tight with hundreds. And we get all the product information, pricing. We include phase and labor and engineering specs, et cetera. So having that fully integrated, and so it eliminates the need for data entry. So we do that for you, which is a huge advantage. And then the other part of that is that information is present throughout the workflow. So there's no need for double entry, right? If you're working in different software solutions and you have to take that data, you have to enter it somewhere else, et cetera. So the integrated product library is huge. Second, I would say, is our advanced estimating and proposal tools. Everything from the product library to start with, and then templates and packages and accessories and cloning and auto calculation of various different labor items and those sorts of things. Just a whole bunch of tools that make the estimating and proposal generation process really quick and efficient. And then thirdly, I would say, is our integration with Visio and AutoCAD to essentially auto-generate drawings. Expedites the drawing process by, our customers tell us, about 30% faster than what it would be if you just used one of those programs generically. But then there's the fact that the bill of materials is always synced with the drawings, so you can't have your drawings not match your equipment list. That's huge. It eliminates design oversights, basically, which is really valuable. Our change orders are auto-created whenever there's a change to a drawing or change to the bill of materials. They're sitting there staring in the face, so you have to present it. That's hugely valuable. The way we handle wires with wireless, and I mean, I could talk about this all day, so I'm going to stop there. Our software has a lot of really valuable features that just save time all day long for our customers.
And the great thing is all those features you were mentioning, I think, are applicable for any size company. I think for years, integrators used to think they had to be a certain size to actually invest in software. And that kind of brings up another question that I wanted to ask, is there's this ongoing debate of whether an integrator should have an end-to-end turnkey solution for his company versus going out and buying individual single purpose built pieces of software and trying to link them together. What are the pros and cons there, or the pros of having that end-to-end solution?
Well, the truth is there's a compromise either way, right? I mean, we are not going to be the best at any given function. I mean, okay, maybe for proposals we might be considered the best, but the truth is you can't be the best at everything. But then if you have point solutions, then you've got all these different software products that ends up being expensive and a lot of training and a non-cohesive environment. So I think the huge things are efficiency. When you're working one product throughout the entire project workflow, the data flows from one department to the next, one person from one person to the next, and it's just hugely efficient. There's also a single system of record. All of the data for all of your projects are in one place instead of having to look in 3 or 4 or 5 places for certain information. And that's super valuable. I'd say, team cohesion, which is something we don't think about much when we think about having a lot of different point solutions. But it's like the fact that everybody's working in the same software, you speak the same language, right? Whereas if some guy's using whatever for project management, and something else for timekeeping, and something else for proposals, and something else for drawings, and it's all over the board, right? It's like they speak different languages, and the team cohesion just goes out the window. So I think that's a big one. Error reduction is a huge one. If you don't not having to re-enter data from one software product to another, into Excel and then out of Excel into this, and I mean, I see those process flows all the time that companies are using. It's like, wow, that's a lot of work and a lot of chance for and risk of human error along the way. So we eliminate that. But it's a choice that people make. I think most would prefer to work in one solution if they know it's end to end and it accomplishes their objectives from the beginning of the sales process all the way through project completion and on to service management. That's kind of nirvana in software if you can find it. And I think we do a pretty good job at getting really close.
It's interesting you bring up the team cohesion and almost that company culture element that is kind of overlooked. But for D-Tools, it even goes a little bit beyond just your company, because now you're working with peers who are also D-Tools members, and there's a little bit of a give and take and an understanding of this greater community cohesion that takes place.
Yeah, we like to think of it that way, and thank you for bringing it up. I mean, we like to think that we're creating an ecosystem, right? I mean, we're working very closely with the various manufacturers and suppliers and distributors in the industry. We work closely with our customers, and we have a means of going through our software for them reaching through to their clients. And it's just like we have this whole ecosystem that works well together, and it's I think it pulls the industry together in a way. I mean, it's like you said, it's a little more than just like individual company. It's more the industry if we do it right, and if we continue to do it right.
Let me ask you one other thing that's regarding the onboarding process for software. How does D-Tools approach that? A lot of the integrators, I think, are intimidated by that potential training process. What do you have in place there?
Well, I first want to say that where we started and where we've come over the last 5 years is a remarkable story in and of itself. We have a complete, very well-defined process and team for onboarding. Everything from the email that the customer receives once they sign the contract with us, that introduces everybody and their roles and all that, to the call that they get from their implementation manager that sees them through the first X weeks or months, however long it takes. That person is with them along the way. She does the orientation with them and makes sure they understand what the process is and they identify the milestones, they identify their objectives and timelines, and make sure they understand how to interact with us as an organization. And then they're introduced to their account manager on the customer success team and their trainer. And it's a whole team. I mean, it really is it takes a village, right? But we have a whole team that makes sure that our customers are successful. And I will guarantee you, we are just as invested in their success as they are. I promise you that. I mean, we've got no one on my team. I meet with them weekly. I personally meet with everybody on our customer success team weekly, and no one is allowed to drop the ball or let anybody fall through the cracks. It's part of our culture and our primary focus right now. One of the investments we've made over the past several years is developing a multi-path learning environment for our customers. People tend to learn in different ways, and they have different preferences in terms of length of sessions they can handle, and whether it's in person or online, or recorded or live, and that sort of thing. So we've created a multi-path approach that includes on-site trainings, online trainings, regional trainings. We have bi-weekly webinars. We have an e-learning platform. We have a knowledge base. So a lot of different ways that people can learn our software, and we really leave it to them as to how they want to do that. We make sure that they're getting to the finish line and then meeting their milestones. That's our job, right? But how they do it is up to them, and we want to give them that flexibility.
Sounds very thorough, and I think software is a timely topic right now. So thanks for joining me today and talking about it, Randy.
Yeah, glad to do it. I appreciate the conversation.